All right, joining us right now is head coach of your Maryland Terrapins, Mike Locksley. Coach, thanks for taking the time.
No problem, Shawn. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about this Ravens-Bills matchup, divisional round. What are your kind of initial thoughts on these two teams going against each other?
Yeah, I mean, very similar in the fact that how they utilize the quarterback. I mean, it's a focal point. In years past, the Ravens maybe have been more run-oriented with the running backs and taking the play-action shots. But obviously two dynamic quarterbacks, and obviously Lamar and Josh, what he's doing up there in Buffalo. And so really good offenses. They maybe approach it a little bit differently, though. You see glimpses of both of them utilizing the quarterback's athletic ability, which I think they both have done a tremendous job of doing.
Obviously, you have some ties to this game on both sides. On Buffalo's side, you, of course, coached Stefon Diggs during his time in College Park. On the Ravens side, you helped recruit Yannick Ngakoue to play for the Terps as well. Let's start with Stefon Diggs, leading the NFL in yards and receptions this year. What has led to this really breakout and standout year for Stefon?
Obviously, I think it starts with the system. Brian Dable, who was a coordinator at Alabama when I served as the co-coordinator and during the 2017 season, a huge believer in getting the ball to his best players. And, every level of football that Stefon Diggs has played on, he's been one of the best players. And so I think what they've done is really built the offense with what they do with the quarterback around getting Stefon the ball, because what I've learned and what a lot of people learn is that if you get him enough touches, he's going to make plays for you, and he's done that his whole career. So good to see him being utilized. And, again, Brian Dable and the Bills have done a tremendous job of feeding him and getting him the ball, and he's made a bunch of plays for him.
Yeah, the best season of his career. When he was in college, what was he like?
Always one of the hardest workers. As I like to tell people, Steph is as competitive an individual as I've been around. I'd say him and Smitty, Devontae Smith down at Alabama are two guys that they want to win at everything. I mean, Steph will be competitive with who can tie his shoe the fastest. He's that type of guy. Hard worker, doesn't have a lot of hobbies. That's the one thing about a guy like Steph. I mean, he loves football. And so if he's not playing the game, if you follow him on Instagram, his off-season training program and his off-season regimen, I mean, he doesn't spend a lot of time letting grass grow under his feet, constantly trying to improve himself, stay in great shape, and become the elite receiver of the game.
Let's talk about Yannick Ngakoue. He's not putting up the numbers that really a lot of Ravens fans were looking for since he was acquired from Minnesota, but he's affecting every game. I mean, he's out there and he's affecting plays. What do you think he needs to do to be at his best against the Bills this weekend, and maybe get some pressures on Allen, or hopefully for Ravens fans, some sacks, bring him down?
Yeah, the casual fan, they look at the results of how many sacks he has, but for us as coordinators and guys that scheme offense, he, like you said, he affects the game in a lot more ways than just the sack is the culmination of the process. But the fact that people are putting two guys on them, chipping them, leaving backs and tight ends in, opens up the other people within the scheme to make plays. And I think what Yannick needs to do is just continue to be consistent, which he's shown, to not, try to get outside of his lane or what they're asking him to do to try to get sacks, because he has the natural ability to affect the game and finish on a quarterback as well as anybody in the game, as he's proven over the last 4 years. Maybe the fact that his numbers may be down recently. If you watch the tape, I'm sure they're utilizing a game plan to not allow Yannick Ngakoue to affect their game, and by doing that, he's opening up things for Calais Campbell and other guys that may be having a little more statistical, better years. But he affects the game. If I was game planning against him, we're going to make sure we don't let him be the game plan wrecker.
A couple more for you. How do Yannick, Calais, and the rest of the Ravens defense stop this high-powered, just explosive Bills offense? Really, one of the best in the game, with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. What's the game plan? You're an offensive guy. You have to love what you see from that offense. What's the game plan, do you think, to stop that or contain that offense?
Yeah, I think it starts and centers around affecting the quarterback. Anytime offenses are so quarterback driven as the Bills are, you have to make him uncomfortable and find ways to affect him. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can do it by loading the box and trying to put pressure. But what I've also found, especially because of how they've done and used the RPO stuff as well as they have, dropping 8 guys in the coverage and making those windows for the RPOs a little tighter than they normally are, also has the ability to affect the quarterback. But to me, I think the game plan, and again, Baltimore and Wink and those guys they've done a tremendous job playing great defense for a long period of time around here. Affect that quarterback as often as you can, whether it's via pressure or forcing them to throw the ball in the tighter windows where you got guys in the coverage. It's a tough task, easier said than done, as we've seen over the course of the last 5-6 weeks with the way the Buffalo offense is operating.
So that's the game plan on defense for the Ravens. As a whole, in your mind, what do the Ravens need to do to win this game and move on to the AFC Championship?
Well, I think it starts again with the quarterback position. Lamar is one of the more dynamic skill players in the country, dynamic quarterbacks. I think he's shown off of the play action game, the shots that open up with what he does with his feet is what creates these wide open guys. And I just think continue to utilize Lamar, his ability to run with the football, with all the different zone read schemes that they've done, establish the run, which entails Lamar as well as their backfield. I know Dobbins has come on as of late and made some huge plays, but also off of those runs, the play actions that look just like the run is what creates the wide open guys down the field. And he's been as good as anybody, in my opinion, and being able to take advantage of the stress you put on defenses when you have a quarterback like him that's as deadly with his feet as he is with his arm.
Head coach Mike Locksley of the Maryland Terrapins, thanks for taking the time, Coach.
No problem. Appreciate it.